5 seconds to go. Start. In other words, there should be no discrimination between one person and another if, as regards the subject matter of the legislation, their position is the same. I am unable to accept the argument of Mr. Chari that a legislation relating to one individual or one family or one body corporate would per se violate the guarantee of the equal protection rule. There can certainly be a law applying to one person or to one group of persons, and it cannot be held to be unconstitutional if it is not discriminatory in its character. It would be bad law if it arbitrarily selects one individual or a class of individuals, one corporation or a class of corporations, and visits a penalty upon them which is not imposed upon others guilty of like delinquency. The legislature undoubtedly has a wide field of choice in determining and classifying the subject of its laws, and if the law deals alike with all of a certain class, it is normally not obnoxious to the charge of denial of equal protection, but the classification should never be arbitrary. It must always rest upon some real and substantial distinction bearing a reasonable and just relation to the things in respect to which the classification is made, and classification made without any substantial basis should be regarded as invalid. The question is whether, judged by this test, the impugned act can be said to have contravened the provisions embodied in Article 14 of the Constitution. Obviously, the act purports to make provisions which are of a drastic character and against the general law of the land as laid down in the Indian Companies Act in regard to the administration and management of the affairs of one company in Indian territory. The Act itself gives no reason for the legislation, but the ordinance, which was a precursor of the Act, expressly stated why the legislation was necessary. It said that owing to mismanagement and neglect, a situation had arisen in the affairs of the company which prejudicially affected the production of an essential commodity and caused serious unemployment amongst a certain section of the community. Mr. Chari's contention in substance is that there are various textile companies in India situated in a similar manner as Sholapur Company, against which the same charges would be brought, and for the control and regulation of which all the reasons that are mentioned in the preamble to the ordinance could be applied. Yet it is said the legislation has been passed with regard to this one company alone. The argument seems plausible at first sight, but on a closer examination, I do not think that I can accept it as sound. It must be conceded that the legislature has a wide discretion in determining the subject matter of its laws. It is an accepted doctrine of the American courts, and which seems to me to be well founded on principle that the presumption is in favor of the constitutionality of an enactment, and the burden is upon him who attacks it to show that there has been a transgression of constitutional principles. Stop.